It's not like I've got all the news in the world to be able to tell you about, but I've got enough. And the nitty-gritty of the whole thing is, I think, and if we could, halfway kind of try to restrain yourself just a little bit, because at the end of the day, you know, I've said this many times, but West Virginia is riding an incredible high. Compared surely to the first days when I got here, things were pretty doggone tough. Any way you cut it. I mean, I've said it over and over, I'm a business guy. And when you look at the books of the state of West Virginia, we were bankrupt. That's all there is to it. Now, there's been a lot of good moves on the chessboard that have produced real results. And the thing that I really didn't want to see happen is I wanted us to celebrate the goodness and how far we've come. And we all know we got a long way to go. And we all know there's still people that are out there hurting that we want to help. We want to help in any way we can. We all know that this drug epidemic is still at hand. But I've said this, and I said this the other day, I hope I don't forget something here, but you know, along the way, we had to create jobs. And today we've got more jobs in West Virginia than we got people that can fill those jobs. And then along the way, we really made a real commitment to education. And I've said it over and over, and I say it very proudly. I don't say it as a Republican or a Democrat or an independent. I say it from the standpoint on the first day I came that I have not changed. I truly believe that education should be our centerpiece, and I believe it. Now that's absolutely just Jim. That's the way I think and the way I believe. I believe we made a real live commitment to our veterans, and we should have done that, and we absolutely owe those people everything, everything. Now, in addition to that, we're building roads, and we're doing something. And we're on a quest, and I'm on a mission from God to do this. Now, I haven't figured it out yet, so there's no point in just pounding me with all kinds of questions, but I'm going to get this done. You know, and that is, we've got to pour more and more and more money into our secondary roads. We have to. We just plain have to. You know, there was a lady, her first name's Samantha. She's a commissioner, a county commissioner from Pleasants County, I think. And I think all that's right. But she, you know, she had a hold of my hand and she was in tears. I mean, you know, about roads in her county that were just all to pieces. We need to do something about it. That's just all there is to it. And in the last leg to the stool, it really is this terrible drug epidemic that's eating us alive. Now, in all of that, there's big stuff that's got to be done. And we didn't need, I don't think, to just blow our legs off for the sake of blowing our legs off. Now, so I'm happy. You know, part of me is because there's a lot of things in the omnibus, if I'm pronouncing that, and why in the world we have that name connected to it, I'll never know. But that education bill is dead. And I'm glad of that. Because now, but there are several things that were there that are really important to us, and they're good things, and you know that. You know, so what I'm doing, and again, I can never do my notes, but what I'm doing is today, right now, I'm calling the legislators. I'm calling them to pass my pay raise bill. The bill that I sent up, the clean bill, that's a pay raise bill for all government employees. I'm calling upon them to do that now. Do that right now. I think there's a real opportunity to move forward here, and that needs to be the first step. The second step is just this. There are things, and I'm just going to name a couple of them. I just checked a couple of them. There's a whole laundry list full of them, you know. But there's a couple of things that just step right out at me and just jump all over me. You know, the idea of having more dollars for student support. You know, we got lots and lots of kids that are hurting in lots of ways. You know, whether it be school nurses or counselors or psychologists, absolutely we need to do that. Now, that's not in my bill. And my bill's clean. And I think what should happen is, and I'm calling upon the legislature to do this and do this now. Do this right now. Pass my bill. And then take up this bill separately and pass that bill. And then there's another one, and that is just this, the school aid formula. On the smaller counties, we need to get that through as well, because these counties are really hurting. And that 1,400 student minimum, we got to get that done. We have to get that done. So there may be other things, but today, we've got to move forward. We've got, the other thing is, I'm calling upon all of you. There's many, many people here that are, you know, that are teachers. There's people here that are service personnel. There's people here that are involved in with our teachers and our school systems everywhere. I'm calling upon you to go back to work. Go back to work right now. Go back to work tomorrow and everything, because give this process now a chance to really work. You voiced your concerns. Your concerns really and truly have never changed me. Your concerns are, in lots of ways, you have always known my concerns. The one thing that you really probably, a lot of people could, and rightfully so, maybe you could doubt things like, you know, can a politician always tell the truth? And that's really what I'm all about. And I'm hung up on that. And I won't change that. So, you know, from where I am today, I would think that, and I know you'll ask about charter schools or education savings accounts and all those things. To me, what we should do now, we should table that. What we should do now is, if we want to put some money into that and do a study of those programs toward the future, that's fine. That's fine. But today, we need to celebrate the goodness of West Virginia. For crying out loud. That's the very thing we all need to be doing, is celebrating how we are doing within our state. We made a commitment to reward our educators. We made a commitment to reward all those that are tied with state government, because we have these surpluses. We made a commitment to PEIA. And we need to get on with doing just what we made the commitment to do. So really and truly. Now, I'll take your questions, but I'm not going to take 1,000,000. But I will take your questions. Yes, sir.
Governor, Senator Carmichael actually said that, you know, the 18 members of the Senate who relentlessly pursued giving families that option will not stop working toward that goal. He was talking about flexibility, choice, and competition, and he says that I am not defeated. This was in a news release that he sent out. And so with him making statements like that, how can you call on school workers to go back to work if he's still saying, I am not defeated, and we will keep working toward that goal?
Well, I really just thought this, and there's no point in, I think we're past, at least with me, for the time being anyway, we're past beating up on somebody. You know, I think we need to look to tomorrow, and I really think that we should go back to work. I really believe, and I hope to goodness that smarter minds are going to rule the day. Not that the Senate doesn't abound with smarter minds, or the House, or me. Smarter minds need to rule the day, you know, and where we are. Okay, what you got here? Okay, the commissioner that I referenced was not from Pleasance, but it was from Preston County. And that's where that terrible accident occurred, you know, just last week. So I got the P right anyway. But nevertheless, what I think is just this. I think you've got your educational omnibus bill is dead. I really think the bill that's on the floor now is my bill, the bill that I sent up. At the end of the day, you know, from the standpoint of the unions and where the unions are and everything else as far as going to work or not going to work, you have the right to do whatever you choose to do there. But it is my opinion, that from the standpoint of our teachers and our parents and our kids, we need to get back to work. Absolutely, I believe wholeheartedly, we're on the right path now, and we're going to get this done. Now, I said all along, did I not say all along, everybody was so concerned about the derailment of this omnibus bill, and everybody, and I've said all along, I said, there's no point in being worried about this because I don't think this is going anywhere.
Governor, they have 24 hours to bring a motion to reconsider this bill on the House side.
Right.
You know, teachers on this end are going to be saying, well, why should we go back? We should probably wait the 24 hours to make sure they don't bring it back. What do you say to that?
Again, I said earlier that the collective bargaining process, the voice of the people, is a beauty in this world and not a hindrance. And whatever they decide to do, I will be respectful of the voice. I always will. Always, always will. Whether I agree or disagree. But I can tell you that I've had discussions, you know, with the House leadership, and they think, as that that's an impossibility because the vote was so wide. They think that that's not real, that's going to happen.
So has Senator Carmichael told you that Senate Republicans are going to back passing pure pay raise bill? Has he told you that Senate Republicans will vote in favor of a pure pay raise bill?
No, he has not.
What is going to be done about fixing PEIA? That was another issue that you addressed in your state of state, and also that teachers are concerned about, and that has not been really talked about this session.
Well, to be perfectly honest, PEI is a tough thing, a tough situation, you know, because healthcare costs are fluid, and they're always fluid. Today, we don't need any extra dollars in PEI today. We do not need any extra dollars. I propose that we put $150 million into PEI. It's just like a PEI rainy day fund. My whole goal on PEI is to find a sustainable model, and as we continue down the path, if we absolutely are continuing to bring in additional revenues, we can put more money in. If we, at some point in time, we find a methodology that gives us a way to dedicate a revenue source directly to PEI, then if that's brought to me in some way, somehow, that it can be done, that's something we need to look at very, very hard. But at the same time, you know, I don't think making a $150 million, you know, contribution to a PEI rainy day fund needs to go just unnoticed. Oh. This, I'm not answering any more of your questions. No, I'm just teasing.
Has Speaker Hanshaw said that House Republicans are going to back passing a pure pay raise bill?
I think you'll see the House introduce my pay raise bill, and I would hope to goodness that it'll fly through the House.
And have either of those two sides, the Republicans on the Senate and the Republicans in the House, have you heard that either of them are going to push in separate bills things that strikers oppose, like education savings accounts, charter schools, rolling back seniority protections? Have you heard whether either side is going to still pursue that, but in separate bills?
I have not heard that either side is going to do that in any way, shape, form, or fashion, and I do not think that will be. I think that's water way under the bridge, gone.
So if a bill came to your desk with charter schools in it or ESAs, would you sign it here in the near future if it was to be brought back up in a separate bill?
I mean, listen, I'm like Mr. Ed. You know, I'm so easy, it's unbelievable. I've told you exactly what I would do, exactly over and over. I said at the end of the day, if we all got together and came up with 2 or maybe 3 charter schools that were pilot schools and everything, I'd look at it. I said if we came up with something that was bigger than that or statewide or anything like that, I'd veto it. I've absolutely, now that I really completely understand the educational savings accounts, I'd veto it. You know, the model is just not there. I mean, it just doesn't. I mean, the way I understand it is just this. I mean, here's the problem. I mean, you run into all kinds of difficulties. You know, if you run into a $3,200 or whatever like that voucher for somebody to take care of a kid that really has a lot of needs and everything, they end up running out of money. And you pull money out of public education as well and everything, and then that kid ends up back in public education. And it's just like it just doesn't make sense to me. That's all there is to it. It just doesn't make, and again, I say this, no matter how well-intended or not well-intended, we didn't need to do this now. We just don't need to do this now. When you're riding in the roughest waves and the water's crashing all around and the boat's breaking all to pieces and you're some way searching for some way to keep the boat afloat, and then finally you're able to do that and you're worn out and you're tired and everything else, and finally the boat breaks on calm seas, why on God's earth do we absolutely need to tie 14 porpoises behind the boat and 100 anchors and everything else? We don't need to do that. We need to go a little ways on calm seas. Yes.
Do you believe, and you said you support 2 or 3 charter schools as a pilot, the teacher organizations have made it clear that
all along that I am not an advocate and a fan of charter schools, period. The reason I'm not is because I do not think that our education system today can afford it, and I think we need to do a whole lot more for the public ed before we start taking on more of a load. That's what I don't think it's a matter of should they be more considerate or if justice is behind their effort or not behind their effort. I don't think it is a matter of that at all. I think to me it's just simply just this, and that is today I want to see us head down the path. And really and truly, when I said, if we had a couple of pilots, and that's what it took to get everybody across the finish line, I may be there. But today, I think now, we go back to my bill. My bill didn't have any charter schools in it, didn't have any educational savings accounts in it and everything else. We go back to my bill and pass my bill. I think the rest of it's dead.
Governor, I've got a question, but you said what you wanted to do. Let's look at that, go back to work, see if your bill passes. I'm not sure it will. Let's stand behind you and see if your pay rate bill passes. Then come back here and talk about it.
I think that's what we should do. I really think that's what we should do. I think that is exactly what we should do. We should go to work, be happy, and just see if my bill passes. See if my bill can get through. And if it doesn't get through, you know, I'll fight like crazy for you in every way, shape, form, and fashion. You know where I stand. I'm not going to change. I'm not going to change. I really, on the first day that I came in, the very first day I came in here, I said, I think our educators need to have a 2% pay raise. The first day I said, education should be our centerpiece. Why? Do you think? I mean, just because, I mean, why? Well, I can tell you why. Here's the why. First of all, education can be an economic driver for us. The next thing is anybody that's going to come to the state of West Virginia, any business in any place, the first thing they say is the schools, the kids. I mean, that's the very first thing they say. The next thing is the very taboo that has hurt West Virginia in many ways is our image. And our image a lot of times comes down to this. People on the outside think we're backward, and I've said it over and over. We've got to kill a deer every day to feed the kids at school, and on and on and on. You know, well, why not take head on the very thing? Because we know how good our schools are. We know how good our teachers are. We know that we're low crime and faith-based and good people. We all know that, but the people on the outside don't know. And to have people come, I think the very thing that drives us more than anything is education. That's what I think.
Oh, hey, Governor. So
Hey,
I know
Brad.
we're still about 20 days out, and I know you've never had any drama regarding a budget bill. So this may be out of your experience. But if you were to receive a budget bill that didn't have a pay raise in the end, have you given any thought to what you would do?
That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Now, I guess I need to qualify that and say, you know, I may get hit by a meteorite today, but at the same time, I just can't fathom that we cannot be that silly. We just can't be. Yes, sir. You can all the time, Bobby.
You are a Republican. The House has 59 Republicans. The Senate has majority Republicans. When this thing crashed and burned, why is it that people theoretically of the same mindset, of the same party, cannot get on the same page about what they think is in the best interest of public education? Why do you think that is?
That's probably the most disappointing thing of all to me. You know, in that I cannot understand that at all. You know, to put in this thing in the beginning, well, let me go back. You know, we put all of our bills and we went over everything with the House and the Senate before we ever sent them up. You know, nobody told us a thing about a 138-page omnibus bill, if I'm pronouncing that halfway right, you know, before it rolled out, and people have been working on it a long, long, long time. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't get how you could put in there that we want paycheck protection and we want this and that and everything else, and then just say, oh no, we're just teasing, you know. Why do that and just infuriate people? You know, at the end of the day, it hurts all of us. It hurts me. I mean, for crying out loud, you know, if I end up going with the way I believe and going with the people and everything, then there's a lot of far right people that don't like me. And if I go this way, then the people don't like me. So it hurts me. It hurts everybody. It hurts everybody. For nothing. For nothing. I don't understand it. I don't get that part, Hoppy, at all. And, you know, I don't like that part. And that's just it.
So Carmichael has not told you that he's giving up on Donald. He's not told you.
He has not told me that.
And Hanshaw has not told you either that Hanshaw hasn't told you that he's not going to continue pushing down the rest of
He has told me that.
He has told you. So Hanshaw says he's given up on it.
I'm not saying Hanshaw has given up on it. I'm saying that Roger and the House has been much more aligned with my philosophy than the Senate. Okay? Thank y'all.